Hello, I'm Philip Stoughton. I'm here on the SCOOPstudio at SMTAi in Chicago, and I'm joined by three guests to discuss traceability. Mary Beth, if I can open with you, just tell me what kind of levels of traceability you're getting required to provide to customers now, and why what they're doing with that data that they're asking you to provide.
Sure. Mostly we see customers that are looking for traceability, well, for basically two reasons. One, because they're building high reliability products and they need to have information on each and every board. And the second is also more for process control. I just need to have the assurance that my boards are built in spec. Someone came to me earlier here at the show and said, I sleep better at night. So that was nice to hear. They know that they're always in control. And then you take it a little bit further now is if I'm going to start collection of the data, that traceability plays into it because now it gets married to it.
Yeah, and it's being able to drill down that data to the finest grain of detail, isn't it? Michael, we're always talking about Industry 4.0, smart factory. Data and traceability should almost be a byproduct of that, providing that detailed information. Are customers' demands for that traceability changing, or has it become a constant?
The demand has been increasing for some time. Together with the availability of information in electronic means, of course, it makes it easier and cheaper to gather. But it's the real usage of traceability that we're seeing kind of go into different areas. For example, we want to make sure that everything we do is correct, as you said. We want to have proof that things have been done, but we also want to see that traceability data used as a quality tool. For example, of all of the thousands of processes that we did to make this product, this one failed. What was the key difference between it and all of the others? Now, this is a positive use of traceability data. It's not there for what if something goes wrong. And so that opens up the scope for who needs traceability and what level they need it at. So that's the kind of trend we're seeing right now. People want to use the data for a positive purpose, quality.
Okay, so Alan, from your point of view, when you look at the use of data, you're producing huge numbers of images, huge amounts, gigabytes of data the whole time. Are people storing that and coming back to that later, or are they using it immediately for process improvement?
It really depends on the type of environment. We see both cases. There's a growing need for lean manufacturing or quick analysis or quick turn. So when you have a quality in your data set, you can go back for traceability to do such things as defect analysis, but also take it to the next levels. How do I use that information more quickly to improve my process so I can prevent a lot of this stuff from happening? And then ideally, how do I do it hands off where it can be automated? That's where you see a lot of people asking, hey, is that the factory of the future?
Yeah, and that's kind of the next phase of the development, isn't it? To be actually have some intelligence beyond just that data and be able to utilize it. We used to associate this with high reliability markets like automotive and medical. Is it now the case that it's a given in every market? Is it kind of table stakes now?
I'm not sure that it's a given in every market, but it has significantly expanded, especially, I would say, in the last year. Even companies that are not building reliability products would like to have assurances, but also to be somewhat proactive. As you said, I want to learn from where there was a problem and I want to learn how to correct it. We're being asked for that much more now, to be able to machine-to-machine communication, how can I collect that data and then make it useful data so I can analyze it, use those analytics to improve my process. So to improve a process doesn't necessarily have to be just a high reliability customer. It's anyone that wants to build a good product.
Yeah, and Michael, when you look at your customers, I guess they're using that data for compliance, but a lot of them are EMS companies, and they could be doing an automotive product one day and a consumer toy or something the following day. It's easier just to have one standard, I guess.
Well, it is. I mean, looking back just a couple of years ago, people would come along and say, we want traceability, and nobody would really understand what that meant. And so you'd end up with people recording stuff just thinking it was good and then never using it, or recording it in a way that couldn't be used. And then when it came to be a problem and you wanted the data, it wasn't there. So that's why the IPC 1782 standard was created, in order to guide people as to what is necessary and what isn't. And as time is going on, we see that the higher levels of this are actually applicable for so many different companies, for the various different uses. So we're seeing that kind of understanding about what the requirement is, as well as the cost implication for that, because every piece of data has an associated cost of capture. And manufacturing just say no to cost, as we know. So you have to be able to justify each item. And of course, if you can collect the data electronically, the cost is almost zero.
Yeah. And Alan, when you're looking at a data strategy within a facility or even within a line, you've got to work with a lot of other parties. You've got to collaborate with a lot of people up and down the line. Is that collaboration working well? And are people like IPC and SMTAi all helping those groups of different vendors come together?
Absolutely. I think across the industry, you see a lot more desire to collaborate and work together. It's not one company or vendor is going to lead the charge. Everyone understands they have their. Everyone has their strengths and weaknesses, but the ability to communicate machine to machine really enhances the out-of-box value for customers as they improve the production process.
Yeah, for me, one of the huge values that the individual companies provide is that deep dive area of expertise. So, for example, with Kick, that's that deep dive thermal expertise that you can then apply to data that can be used holistically. With Koyoung, it's all about the solder paste inspection process and how that works. Last question, just throwing this forward a year or two. We've seen it move really rapidly in the last year. Think a little bit about how that data is going to be used and what we can do to take it to the next stage. Is it going to be about some kind of augmented artificial intelligence where we can take that data, we can get advice from a system, and then we can apply some changes to the line?
I think just even from originally the Industry 4.0 is that I want to use that data to learn, right? So I want to be able to make those changes and be proactive and do something. So my answer would be yes, absolutely. And that will take, integration. Our company in particular works with both Aegis and Koyoung as well, because we know that that's part of the future. I think also one thing that these gentlemen mentioned is that that's a lot of data, right? One of the biggest difficulties is searching for that data, right? So if you have it everywhere, it becomes very difficult to make it useful. And so by cooperating and having more integrated databases and so forth, then that gives the company, that gives the customer way less of a challenge. It makes it much easier.
Yeah. And you're at the MES level, so you're looking at the holistic solution every time. The adoption of this is only going to happen if there's value for the customer. So how do you kind of drive towards that value? Is artificial intelligence part of that?
It certainly is becoming part of that, because all of the data we talk about for traceability is equally valid as being data for smart factories. It's the same data, and you use the data for various different needs. So being able to then find the value for that, to be able to justify it, it almost becomes a non-existent question. I think that the new ways to connect the factory, for example, IPC's Connected Factory initiative, people are now beginning to understand not just the technical side of that, which is just connecting machines, but actually when we've got that data, what value is that bringing to us as a machine vendor, as a solution provider, as an ERP provider? That changes the world, because small or large artificial intelligence is augmented reality through glasses to give you a hands-free view of what's going on, to guide you. These are all technologies which were present already in the past, but unobtainable because the data wasn't there.
Yeah.
But now we're getting it.
And Alan, Koyoung's always been known as an innovator. You're always pushing the boundaries, investing more in R&D than most of your competitors put together. Where do you see it going? Do you see using that data as the key benefit that you can offer further down the line?
Yes. The first step is making sure you have quality of data, authenticity of data, so you can actually trust and use the data. And we see the growing desire by a lot of customers. Okay, now I'm got all this information. What do I do with it? Is there a way you could help me mine the information and then automate my process for me? Tell me what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong, so in the future I don't have to repeat my mistakes. So Koyoung is taking that initiative. We have some stuff in place. So part of it is internally, we're working by ourselves, but we also reach out and work with a lot of other industry partners.
Yeah. Clearly there's exciting times ahead, some really, really interesting technology coming into our market, but it all starts with really good quality data and traceability. Mary Beth, Michael, Alan, thank you very much for your time.